get people interacting, and then be proactive and take control of the conversation and continue it in your DMs. Because from there, you can actually start to have more natural conversations, and you will know when the time feels right to actually pitch your service, your product, your offer. Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. If you are a new subscriber, then hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Bella Foxwell, an Instagram strategist and educator that drops a brand new Instagram marketing video on this channel every single Friday at 5 p.m. GMT. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, then thank you so much for your ongoing support. In today's video, there is a bit of a scene change here because of all the weird things happening in the world. Everything's been turned a little bit topsy-turvy, so I am in a new location just for this video, but it's a pretty nice location, so I'm not complaining too much. In this video, we are talking about how to make more sales in your direct messages, and specifically how to go about doing that using Instagram stories. So if you are wondering how you can start having more fruitful conversations in your DMs that turn into sales and actually talking more about your products or services, then this is the video for you. So I'm sure you've all experienced the horribly pushy DM, somebody sliding into your DM with and when I say DM, direct message, somebody sliding into your DM with a pushy, out of the blue message saying, "Hi, love your account, thought you'd be the perfect fit for my XYZ product service offer." And the person hasn't taken any time to say, "Hi, how are you?" They have no idea who we are, what our problems are, our struggles are. They don't even know our name. And this is not the way to do business. It's never been the way to do business. And yet a lot of people show up on Instagram and think that sending a DM, pushing their service or product on people is the way to make money. And it just isn't. That seems really obvious. And yet I'm sure you have also been the victim of one of these kinds of messages. So that is definitely not the approach we are having and we are talking about in this video. But what we are talking about in this video is conversation, because all pitches and all sales conversations start with an organic, natural conversation. It starts by having those conversations in your direct messages. So how can you turn your direct message inbox from a place that is full of tumbleweed and pretty empty to a place full of messages from people that want to know more about you and are just itching to learn more about your products and services? So there are really two ways to do this. And the first is to build habits within your target audience and get them used to engaging with you. Get them used to making micro conversions. When I say micro conversions, I mean the small action steps that people are taking that are getting them used to taking action on your calls to action. And those micro conversions will be things like responding to the comments on your main feed, posts, but specifically on your Instagram stories, it will be engaging with your interactive stickers. So responding to your polls, using the emoji sliders you include in your stories, responding to the question sticker, sending you DMs. All of these interactive stickers are little micro conversions that are getting people used to engaging with you. So that is the first way to get people warmed up and used to actually taking action on your calls to action. The second way is to get people into your DMs and start having natural conversations with them. You want normal conversations to happen with people where you are talking about their lives and things that are important to them before you move naturally into talking about their struggles and frustrations and the way that you can help solve those. So how do you get both of those things happening on a regular basis? Well, that's where Instagram Stories comes in. Now in the thumbnail I'm sharing on the screen, this is a recent video I created about the two types of Instagram story that you want to be creating in 2020 to build the know, like, and trust factor with your audience. And in that video, I talked about personal Instagram stories and value-driven Instagram stories. And today I'm going to talk about those two types of Instagram story again with relation to building habits and getting people into your DMs. But I'm going to talk about a specific type of value-driven Instagram story, and that is an educational Instagram story. So now I'm going to talk you through how to use personal Instagram stories and educational Instagram stories to build those habits within your audience and to start natural conversations that will lead further down the road to sales. So personal Instagram stories are really, really crucial to share because they are what is going to build that emotional connection with your audience. It's going to be the reason that your target audience chooses to engage with you and ultimately further down the road invest in your product or service over your competitor because they feel that they have a genuine connection with you. That is why personal Instagram stories are so important. It's connecting with your audience on a human level. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about the funny, the bizarre, the strange, the unusual, the mundane ways that you can find common ground with your target audience and then create content around it. So this really starts by thinking about what your target audience, what their day looks like, what habits do they do on a daily basis, what does their routine like, what is a day in the life like for your target audience, and where do you share similarities? So, for example, is working out really important to your target audience? And do you also have a workout routine? Does your target audience have a huge caffeine addiction? Do they fuel their day by having 100 cups of tea every single day? And do you also have that same addiction? These similarities that you have with your target audience, you can create content around these shared experiences. So let's take the example of the caffeine addiction. You could create an Instagram story talking people through a day in the life with you, but you could start it by opening the floor to say with a poll, does anybody else get the bane of working from home and having 100 cups of coffee or tea or herbal tea and half finished around the house? Does anybody else experience this? Yes or no? And that's what you have in the poll sticker. Now, depending on whether people say yes or no, it doesn't matter. You're still going to engage with those people. So once you have left your story up for a few hours, maybe, 22 hours, you are going to go in and you're going to engage with everybody that engaged with that poll. To everybody that said yes, they do understand that habit of leaving half-finished cups of coffee everywhere, you are going to say, oh my God, I'm so glad you feel my pain. Does it drive your partner, housemate, mum, husband, wife up the wall? So you're asking a question, you're opening up the conversation, and you're, opening the floor for them to have a dialogue with you. For everybody that said no, you're going to respond to them and say, oh my God, how do you do it? What is your secret? Tell me, share with me your advice to help me break this habit. Again, you're asking a question, you're opening the floor to more dialogue. Now you've started a natural conversation with your ideal customer or client. You haven't pitched them, you haven't been sleazy or salesy, but you have started a conversation and you've broken down the barrier of you being an account and them being the consumer and the audience. You've actually broken down the barriers, broken the fourth wall, and you're having a one-on-one dialogue in your direct messages, which is amazing. Remember, not everybody feels comfortable sliding into somebody's DMs, and by you taking control and being proactive and starting that conversation, now you've made that person feel so much more comfortable with engaging with your stories in the future because they know that they'll get a response. They know that they won't get ghosted, that their ego won't get hurt. And this is golden because in the future, when you share more Instagram stories, whether that's an educational Instagram story or whether that is a direct Instagram story promoting your latest offer or service or product, you are going to get so much more responses from those people that you had just a normal, natural conversation with because they feel more inclined and more encouraged to respond to your promotional Instagram stories now that you've had a conversation with them before. So we've talked about the personal Instagram stories, and it's all about leading with personal connection first and then serving value. And that brings me on to the educational Instagram stories because you should be sharing a balance of personal Instagram stories and value-driven, i.e. educational in this case, Instagram stories. And to be honest, you should be sharing more of those educational ones. Serve your audience. And so this is the way that you can share educational Instagram stories. And in a similar way that we just talked about, you can follow up with a dialogue with your ideal customers and clients. So you might open your educational Instagram story with a poll like we talked about before. And you might say, would you like to learn about X or Y in today's training? Now, you might have already decided what training you're going to share, so it doesn't really matter whether people say, X or Y or A or B. But once you've shared the training, you could go back with all the people that said the training that you did share and say, how was that? Do you have any more questions? Let me know. And with everybody that requested the other training, you could go back and say, I am going to share this training tomorrow or the next day. Do you have any questions for me now that I can help answer in that training? Again, you've opened up the dialogue to help both kinds of people, regardless of whether they wanted that training or not. Another way you could use the stickers to continue the dialogue is to share a mini training. And at the end, you might leave a bit of a cliffhanger. So you might share 5 tips to help you save 2 hours every single day that you were previously spending procrastinating. Now you might share those 5 tips, but what you might do in the story is you'll share 4 of them and then you'll leave a cliffhanger and say, now if you want to find out the 5th tip, drop an emoji in the question box below and I will DM you personally the 5th tip. Again, you are opening the floor for people to engage with you. They're likely to say yes because people are nosy, they want to know the final tip. And then you can continue that conversation in your direct messages. Now, unlike the personal Instagram stories, with the people who are really engaging with your educational stories, you know that these people potentially are maybe a little bit further down in that customer journey with you. They are closer to maybe working with you or investing in one of your products or services. So anybody that does engage with your educational stories and the stickers you put on there, really go with them with all the value, help them as much as you can, because those people are actually at that stage where they're asking for help. So it's golden if they end up in your direct messages. So as a recap, the reason that I talked about personal Instagram stories and educational Instagram stories today is because you want to use a combination of both. And it's valuable to use the interactive stickers on both to get people used to doing those micro conversions, taking those micro conversions with you, getting used to engaging with you, building the habits, and then directing them into your DMs where you can have further conversations. And those personal conversations you're having just about the mundane, the everyday, they are so valuable because like I said at the beginning of this training, you are making people feel comfortable to opening up to you about the problems and the struggles they're having, which as you share more educational content and you say to people, let me know if you have any more questions, they will feel more comfortable actually asking you those questions and asking you for help and allowing you to show up and serve them more value. So utilize the stickers, get people interacting, and then be proactive and take control of the conversation and continue it in your DMs. Because from there, you can actually start to have more natural conversations and you will know when the time feels right to actually pitch your service, your product, your offer in a way that comes from a place of real value rather than that sleazy, pushy, out of the blue DM that comes from a place of scarcity and pushiness and not actually thinking about the other person on the other end of that DM. So that's all for today's video, guys. I hope you are staying safe and staying well and not getting too stir crazy in this weird time. If you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up and to hit the subscribe and bell button so you never miss a new video when it goes live every single Friday. If you want to catch more free resources, I've dropped a bunch of links in the description box below, including a link to my free 4-day email challenge, which you can join whether you're brand new to Instagram or you've been on the platform for a while and you're feeling a little bit stagnant. There's great information in there for you. 4 days, 4 emails packed full of information. I will see you next week for a brand new video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.